shit out. It's not the same discussion per se. Same with Derek, same with Shaggy. So what we're getting here is just a roundtable of podcasters that will incorporate topics that hopefully we get maybe some followers here within this realm here, Tales from the Markside. That will be just bonus content once a month. We'll have some followers. You can chime in on a chat. You can tweet us at our respective Twitter handles, and maybe that can be the basis of future topics or future content that we provide here. But this is just something amongst podcast friends that, hell, we're just having fun with this, and we're not taking ourselves too seriously. And another thing I can assure too is that this isn't the cliche review show. Like if you go to YouTube and search this, like NXT review, NXT Takeover Dallas review. Oh, well, the first match you're going to hear that from 90 other jabronis that are on here talking about the same shit over and over again. We're not into replicating shitty vlog podcast type things. There's no expectation with this other than three podcasters that just want to talk at the same time about just whatever topic comes to mind. So that's it. That's what you're seeing here. And maybe it'll evolve down the road, but ta-da! Woo! That's what we got here. All right, so Tales from the Markside. Here we go. Once a month. Just a fun little video you'll see. We'll see what time limits we get here. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So we had a guy. Looks like we had a guy in the chat, and he said, "Wrestling." Said, "You know it." Left.
Thank you for that. That first entertainment. You gotta
too sweet, me good brother.
Fans over, man. Fucking A.
Another. That's actually a title of a podcast, and I dig those guys. No, not another wrestling podcast.
Yeah.
I'm kind of pissed I didn't think of that name for my show. Like I did Kayfabe Connection, but not another wrestling podcast is a great name.
Right.
Like another name that I've heard in podcasts, and I like for dropping off names. One I was mad I never thought of, Rudo Radio. I'm like from Kate's over at Kate's Seats. I was like, holy shit, that's a great name. And first, I've also put out the first curse word, so yeah, put the kids to bed. But there's going to be a lot of that.
Naughty language.
Hey,
what is the? I was going to say the CM Punk Rock back and forth when CM Punk's like, I'm going to say bitch because it's cool to swear. And he's making fun of The Rock. And that was the greatest. Like, if anybody could stand toe-to-toe with The Rock, and like the New Day have done a great job, but man, CM Punk, that was such an underrated program because, it ended the 434 streak and everybody hated to see it at that time. But man, Punk's work with The Rock, like it was effortless. I'm going to say bitch because it's cool to swear. Like it's just like simple yet effective.
Yeah, my favorite one with that, and other than that one that you brought up was are you ready to hot box with God? And I'm like, this is hilarious considering the fact that he's a known atheist. But like, it's the whole idea that he said that, and it was so fucking cool to hear. And like, wait a minute. Like, I was like, you don't believe any of that. Well, he believed what he said, and that was dope. Like that whole like I always dug that two promo guys go at it and they try to get as much as they can out of each other. And it's kind of like, let's see who can outlast each other. And it's kind of like, well, even in the Attitude Era, where you had Jericho go up against Road Dogg, and Jericho's like waxing poetic on Road Dogg, and Road Dogg's like, yeah, well, you're a bitch. He's like, ooh, and the crowd goes insane. And you're like, and Jericho's like, oh my God, all right. I'm surrounded by idiots. Speaking of which, yeah.
Well, that was fun stuff.
Yeah, man. So
Good
like
times.
Brett's saying, man, it's just three guys collectively putting their ideas together and speaking on like the thing they fucking love, man, which is wrestling. I mean, we've all been a part of it some way or another, from fans to fucking super fans to a motherfucker taking a bump, a Memphis style bump. So, you know, it's awesome, man. It's cool that you can actually do this once a month and, you know, give back to our fans of our respective shows. And, you know, open the door for other people to listen to each other's shows, you know? So it's, you know, it's new fandom, or, you know, or either this can go really, really well, or this was just a poor attempt at socializing.
At least I have kayfabe connection.
That's right.
If I don't have Tales from the Mark side, I'll always have kayfabe connection.
Speaking of which, was anyone getting the audio of this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to be sure because I totally forgot to hit start on GarageBand here.
Like recording. Oh, recording this. I had not clicked anything. So
yeah, see, I was wondering.
I'm gonna go.
I thought, well, isn't the video's recording though, right?
Yeah, the video's should be recording. It says it is.
So we're gonna release this as an audio podcast then too, right?
I thought so. I thought that was the plan. So I can go ahead and. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start GarageBand here in just a sec.
That's why we said we don't take ourselves seriously on this. This is a first run here.
So, now GarageBand is now recording, and I'll edit out this part of me talking like a chump.
This would be the time for your people. If we have fans watching, this is the time that you just chime in Botchamania.
No, we need an ECW "You fucked up" chant for that.
You fucked up. You fucked up. You fucked up. Hey, the best podcasts are the more organic ones that just get right into it without this canned, like, sorry, Derek, but welcome to the Jackass Wrestling Show. I'm your annoying host.
Yeah, thanks.
Generic rock.
Thanks.
Maybe something like a Dean Ambrose, like a win.
There you
go. You bring this up, and I'm like sitting here to myself, like, yeah, I got a theme song too, and I'm like hearing them, like, no, because you know we on our show, all we do is we play like either the most embarrassing shit ever to start it off, because me and my co-host Corey, we like to find the funny in wrestling and just make the funny or embarrassing in wrestling and post it. And then I think my favorite opening to this day is either the Hulk Hogan one or oh my God, was it the Roman Reigns one? But it's one of them that just had me in tears. I can't remember. We have so many of them.
I just finished recording this week's Kayfabe Connection. This intro, this might be my favorite intro I've ever done, and I can't take credit for coming up with it because it's like a mix, it's like a blend of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
But the person that did this is genius, and it was the first thing that I thought of when the breaking news hit this week of a certain something happening, and I won't spoil it, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. Hilarious.
That's the idea.
Let's go ahead and let's get something going here. So I know, like, and on my show especially, I'm not an interview show per se. I've interviewed before, but typically, like, the first thing you ask someone, a wrestler or a promoter, is what got you into wrestling, brother? But if for us collectively, I mean, it is kind of a good question because, I mean, we're more than fans with this stuff. Like the whole Mark idea. It's interesting with that twist on that name, the Tales from the Mark side. It's funny, Mark, the word Mark, everybody's a Mark for something, for anything. It's not even wrestling related. it's kind of owning that word and taking pride in that. Yeah, I'm a mark. I love wrestling. Clearly, look behind me, right? So,
yeah.
What was the moment, or what was the thing that really got you into the early markdom of your wrestling fandom? I guess I'll throw that out to you two, and I'll finish this off here.
Yeah. You want to go first, man, or you want to?
Go ahead and take it.
Well, all right. Well, you see here, kiddies, when two people love each other, they decide to have a man-child who will eventually grow up to be a fucking mark, or smark is what I've been called, but it doesn't matter to me. I am who I am. But I guess what got me into wrestling, being in Florida, we've had we had FCW, and we've had, especially when I was growing up, this was WCW county. This is WCW country, 100%. Like, this is what we had. WCW was in Jacksonville, Florida, like, all the fucking time, and I was a young lad, and like, my first live, I think when I first got into wrestling, there's a couple of key points. One, I guess my first live wrestling event, I saw Ric Flair when he had hair at a WCW house show. I don't know who he was wrestling. I was young as shit, man. So I just remembered watching it, and I was fascinated with it, man. But then I think my parents, like, one of my favorite memories I had is I was watching a pay-per-view. Not in a way, I was watching a WWF pay-per-view, not in a way that you would think. My parents came in my room and they saw me watching stuff that was staticky and shit. You know how you would catch when your kid watching porn? I mean, back in the day, they're like, "What the fuck are you watching?" And I'm like, ooh. And it's just like Bret Hart putting somebody in the substitute. I want to say it was an In Your House pay-per-view.
Like, there are some kids that are like, "Is that a boob?" And then there's you that's like, "Is that Ric Flair?"
I'm like, that motherfucking Owen Hart? Like, I can't tell, but I'm fucking like trying to shake my TV. I remember fucking trying to shake my TV and like waiting for it to get in the proper room. I'm hearing McMahon fucking yelling, and this is when McMahon was still Vince McMahon was still at ringside, still doing announcing, and I'm just, "Who's putting it in the hole?" And I'm like, I'm sitting there watching, and my dad opens the door and says, "Hey, boy, what are you doing?" And, and it's just like me watching wrestling, and they kind of looked. He literally thought I probably was watching porn at this point, like, just because, they're smart at that
scribbled
age.
stuff.
Scribbled, and they just walk in, and they just hear the wrestling in the background. So my dad was like, "All right," closed his head, and then after that, he started ordering me like pay-per-views and renting, like, and I was at Blockbuster. Exactly, kids. We used to go to brick and mortar stores and rent movies.
I used to beg my parents, like, you got to drop the VHS tape off. They have that little slot. Like, I would beg them, and I would take in $1, and I begged them, like, "Please, can I drop off the VHS tape?" Because the Coliseum videos were like right on the edge. Like, you come in, you drop it in the box, and it was like, I was like, "I'll be real quick. Like, you can even see it's right there." And I would go, and it's like Match Made in Heaven, Match Made in Hell, SummerSlam, like just the classics, like the classic Coliseums. And back in the day, there was no Netflix queue or anything per se. Like, it was, the box had a VHS behind it, or the dreaded, it's just the box, and you're like, "Oh yeah, it's so good," but like, there's nothing behind it.
That's the most crushing fucking shit to feel when you're like, "Oh," and you see the little fucking sliver and shit, and you're like it's either
No Way Out in Texas. No Way Out in Texas was that VHS that Kane's face is on the front, and you're like, "What is that?" And you look on the back, and they get like Stone Cold and like all these DX members, and they go Crazy 8-Man. You're like, "Wow, that sounds amazing." And you look at the matches, and that fucker was always Kane's mask, just staring at you with the promise of like, "Oh, maybe I'm gonna get it," and there's nothing behind it. Like, it took me several months to finally watch No Way Out in Texas, and it was just like triumph when I finally got that VHS.
Man, I think it
was hilarious.
I think the one that I always would wait for, it was a Royal Rumble, and I want to say it had to be 92 or 93, where it was the poster where all of the wrestlers were like walking, like it was drawn out, but it was like everybody was walking down the street. It was like early because it was like Big Boss Man, Ultimate Warrior, and like fucking like Flair, Hogan. Like I guess they were all walking out. I forget what Rumble that was. Every fucking time I would go to that Blockbuster, it was gone, and I never. I was like, I think they stole it. I think they stole it, and I will never understand. that is how
you hear
the
about
feeling was. Like, it's never.
You hear about these news stories of like what was the last person? It was in the news recently where they failed to return a videotape and like they get jail time or like this insane fine. Like I'm wondering if anybody's serving time right now, like hard time, like they're just sitting there like playing a harmonica. Person next to him is just like, man, what are you in for, brother? Oh man, you had to have seen Rumble '93 to realize why it was so worth. Like I know we have the network now, and I probably could have just returned it and watched it for $9.99 on the network, but I had to keep that piece of history with that VHS tape under my bed.
I would hope a person who did that shit would like honestly have been like he would have rented the worst fucking pay-per-views, and he's like, I never took it back because the place closed, or like fucking lost. Now he's serving time. Like, yeah, I'm serving time for. You remember when Yokozuna fought Undertaker and it took 10 motherfuckers to. That was a great time. Man. That's really how I got into wrestling, man. Was just that event, and I've been loving it ever since. Like, probably one of the main reasons why I'm wearing glasses now, because I would just be on the TV watching Monday Night Raw like this, just like. What was he gonna do it? By God, JR! And I'm just sitting there like fucking staring at it blankly. So I probably fried my eyeballs. But yeah, that's kind of how we do it. I'm gonna give it to my brother up there in Memphis.
It's pretty easy to find out when I became a wrestling fan. My dad set me down at the age of 5 and said, "Son, we're gonna watch USWA Championship Wrestling on Channel 5 this Saturday at 10 a.m. every Saturday morning." And that was the heyday, man. I tell you, there was no other. And we've discussed this on Twitter, at Fight Ben Fight. I've had multiple discussions about territories. Growing up in one of the biggest Hey, Lila, how you doing? Growing up in one of the greatest wrestling territories was really a treat because you got Memphis wrestling on Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Then you got at Monday, you got to Monday night after school. You know, you get through school all day. You're jittery. You're ready to go. You get to the Mid-South Coliseum in Midtown Memphis, and you get to see Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee and the Boogie Woogie Man, Handsome Jimmy Valiant, and Jimmy Hart all fighting down there. And, you know, growing up, you couldn't help. If you were in Memphis, we never had professional sports teams. And the only thing we had other than University of Memphis, or back then it was Memphis State, football and basketball, was professional wrestling. So that was what we had to do here. And if you weren't a wrestling fan, you were the weird one back in those days. It's kind of funny how things have changed to where like here it was, you don't watch wrestling, how weird are you? And then nowadays it's, you watch wrestling and, you know, it's like, hey, it's a TV show. I enjoy it. What else can I do about it? So this book here, I got this at a revival for the Roundhouse, MemphisWrestlingHistory.com. Has cards, it has matches and results, and it's a really good thing. Check it out, Memphis Wrestling here. It's done by a guy named Mark James. We live and die by this book on my show because we like to discuss this in a moment because, you know, the territories, the death of the territories was a major, 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 major deterrent in professional wrestling. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Thanks, Vince McMahon.
Well, yeah, thanks. You know, you can't, you got to go get new talent and stuff like that. But Memphis being the last territory, it was just so depressing when it got shut down, and just, it's something that will never be replaced.
Would you think that now, today, circa 2016, would you say that in a weird way there still are territories?
It's nowhere. You still got your New Japan, your Ring of Honor, your PWG. You know, you still have all that.
Because I'm thinking Ring of Honor is northeast. I'm thinking NXT is down south. I'm thinking PWG is west coast. I'm thinking Lucha Underground is West Coast. Like there's, in a weird way, it's not as stretched out and as prevalent as it once was. But I mean, and you can even stretch it not even to the United States, but you can stretch it out globally. I mean, you go over to the UK, you got Progress. You go to Germany, you got WXW. I mean, hell, in England, you got Southside too. They put on great shows. Rev Pro in the UK, like in a weird way, like people think, oh, it's just WWE now. But if you know wrestling, and this is quite the Mark thing to say, but there is plenty more out there than just one single company. It's not. And I think TNA and Ring of Honor were two companies that really, after ECW and WCW died, I think TNA and Ring of Honor, we can piss and laugh at TNA right now. Their headquarters is in a sweatshop warehouse, like a porn shop used to be there. Like it's dead rats on the ground. Like step into my office, like there's dead rats and stuff. Like we can joke about TNA, but TNA really post WCW. Anybody remember that live Impact that they had, where that was the same night on WWE's end where they were competing? It was like the Monday Night Wars. We can joke about it, but that night felt special. That was the one night where if TNA was ever legitimate, that was the night they were legitimate. And I remember watching that. I was in grad school, and I kind of in a lame, marky way, I had like a score sheet in my own little way. I wanted to do like a test run of like, I'm going to rank which show was better, Raw or Impact. So like pretty much anytime I marked out over something or I thought something was cool, I like Roman numeral style, I would I'm in just etching it down. And at the end of both shows, I looked at the score to see which had the better show. And if you remember, Brett and HBK had their encounter where Shawn Michaels publicly apologized for the screw job. That's what WWE had on their end to really lure you in, and it was like a decent show. But dude, TNA was like Hogan was showing up, and Flair and Sting and like Hardy off the top of the cage, like it was crazy. And you're like, holy shit, this is finally I get Rocky Road. I don't have to eat vanilla without sprinkles or syrup, Hershey little syrup. I get, or the shell, the weird shit that freezes up. Like I can get Rocky Road now. And if you like vanilla, cool. Vanilla's cool. But to have that moment where it's like, we always knew as a wrestling fan there were other avenues. Like I remember the Summer of Punk and Ring of Honor and Tyler Black and Bryan Danielson, the Dragon, and Samoa Joe. Like I knew of them, but I wasn't so rabid about it and appreciated it like I do now, because I feel like TNA and Ring of Honor were really like, that was the kicking down the door of, okay, hey, you're not the only act in town. Let's have everybody remember this. Now I think maybe not territories, but they're just at least the options. The options, it's seemingly endless, to which we all do weekly shows. I can never cover everything that happened in a Sunday to Sunday basis across all different wrestling promotions. Like I'd have to put on a 5-hour show just to cover it. I think the options now are more prevalent than they've ever been. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, real quick, I'll touch on it.
Go ahead.
I'll touch on it real quick. It's kind of like they're being reborn, mostly on a global scale, because even back then, wrestling in Japan was like a dream for some, but not really taken too seriously, because I want all my money in the States. But now it's kind of like, yo, if you're fucking getting over in Japan, that's a fucking huge deal. So it's like the territories, in a sense, are fucking still alive and well, but just more so on the stretched out scale, but not as much as just like, well, because you got like, and just like, yeah, you have WWE fans, you have LOL TNA fans, you have Ring of Honor fans, you have PWG fans, you'll have Progress fans, Rev Pro fans, you'll have NXT, you'll have a bunch of fans everywhere repping what they wanted. And that's what in spirit what the territories are, because, and these are guys just like them fighting for their people to stay where their companies are at. Except they're still at the top of that fucking territory, though, is WWE. Like, we can all agree to that shit. It's just because that's on a global scale of like.
Here's an interesting example of that. Yeah, exactly. Here's an interesting example. Michael Elgin. right? I'm hearing an echo.
Yeah, I hear it too.
I'm gonna mute.
Adi, 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 odi, odi, odi. Better? Okay, I think we're in business now. But here's an example. Here's a weird example. Michael Elgin, right? Ring of Honor, former Ring of Honor champion. Humble brag, was in Nashville when Adam Cole was defeated by Michael Elgin, and I'm a huge Adam Cole fan.
Wait, can I do it?
But at the same time, I was
Adam Cole, baby.
But at the same time, I was like, man, it felt like Elgin and Cole kind of emerged in the Ring of Honor scene at the same time. And Elgin didn't really have the charisma that Cole did, and so Cole was kind of like they were at the same level of where they should be, but Cole is so charismatic, and Elgin's just kind of like a tough man, just I'm a wrestler and I kick ass. And so the wrestling fits, but that the persona end doesn't really match up. And man, in Nashville, there were some like people were pissed. Like he's in there with his wife and he's on his knees with the belt, and all it made me think back when Big Show replaced Stone Cold, which in Detroit I was at that Survivor Series. Quick little, we're jumping away, but we'll come back. I'll never forget being there that night and watching the Titantron when they were backstage and Stone Cold gets run over by the car, and I look over at my childhood friend, Brent. We both went, and I looked over at him like, so Stone Cold's still going to be out for the main event tonight, right? Looking back, it's wrestling, like kayfabe, whatever, fuck kayfabe, schmayfabe. But I remember looking over, like, so Stone Cold stuff, because in our mind it's like Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H, triple threat. This is going to be the greatest thing ever. And then introducing his replacement, well, it was that same level of disappointment. Dude, I've never seen Joe Louis Arena empty out so fast than Big Show in the ring crying with the title. Like, it's crazy. Like as soon as ding, 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 you just see Joe Louis just, and he's in the ring crying. He feels so bad, but like not on that same like thousands of people level, but in Nashville, people were pissed. Like Elgin won, and immediately click the lights on, and the cockroaches are all run. Like as soon as Elgin won, people were just like, "Fuck this!" And I had friends that were watching on pay-per-view that were hitting me up there live, and they're just like, "What the fuck?" And they were so pissed. Bring it back to the story here. Elgin and Ring of Honor. Like I've been at several shows where people are just, "Fuck you, Elgin," and screaming and. As wrestling fans, as marks, there are several people who don't take the person, the human being, and the wrestler and look at them and it's like Roman Reigns is a dickhead, and you're like, he's actually kind of a good guy, Like,
man, fuck
it's
that
not
guy,
his
dude.
fault. It's not his fault he's booked that way. Like Dalton Castle doesn't go to Baskin Robbins like rubbing his nipples like, ooh.
However,
mint chocolate chip, like it's a shtick.
That would be amazing.
No, it'd be great. I'd buy his ice cream for him.
Well, wait a minute. Before you go on, is it weird that I do that when I do walk into a Baskin Robbins? Because I get pretty excited.
Yes, it does.
Superman ice cream?
Cookies
for those that
and
aren't
cream, baby.
Superman ice cream is kind of like a Michigan thing, but it's like red, yellow, blue. Nobody can define the flavors. It's like cherry, vanilla, and like blue shit. It's so weird to define, but Superman ice cream is my kryptonite, pun intended. Okay, so back to it. Michael Elgin in Ring of Honor, it's like Michael Elgin ran over your dog, like he dated your mom and didn't call her again. Michael Elgin, we were in Canada for Global Wars a year ago, and my wife, who's like a casual wrestling fan, this dude comes out with the flag, he goes up on the turnbuckle, one streamer. This guy got one streamer in his native country with the flag and just comes out like big grandiose fashion, and like one lonely streamer hits him, and my wife looked at me and she's like, one streamer? Like he's from here, shouldn't he get more love? Goes to New Japan, goes to G1. I'll never forget. Michael Elgin entering into the G1 Climax last year, and the hate from people like, fucking Roddy Strong should have been over there, and they pick Elgin, and what does Michael Elgin do? He crushes it and has amazing matches with these people. He's the same guy. It's not like Blue Blazer Captain America, like they put a wig on him or something. Like, he's Michael Elgin with the onesie and killing people and having superb matches. And it's no different than what he's doing in Ring of Honor. Yet to that Eastern audience, he's Big Mike. He's got money written all over him. In Ring of Honor, it's like, another fucking Elgin match. Whoop-de-woo. It's so interesting. You talk about the whole territory, to make a long story long. You talk about the territories making more sense to, like, people being over now. And I think Michael, it's a testament to that. I think Michael Elgin is the perfect example of, you put a guy in one geographical location, same moveset, same persona, same mic skills, boo, throw him to a different country, different promotion. Holy shit, this guy's amazing. Any other examples you can think of, or what do you guys think about
Jerry Lawler would be my first response to that, because he can go to AWA, he'll get booed his ass off. He comes back to the Mid-South Coliseum, and it's like the return of WWE ice cream bars. The world. I mean, we're all bowing down. I've bowed down to Jerry Lawler several times in my life, but
so did 14-year-old girls all across the globe.
Hey, if they 18 to 25 is the. Once they get 25, they're too old for old Jerry, and he has to kick it to the curb. But
he's like, you're a sophomore in college? Nah.
Sorry.
You're taking calculus? You're taking AP algebra?
But you send him to Texas, you send him to up north to AWA, he's going to get booed his ass off. But he comes back back here. And he came back. He actually came back with an AWA and a what was it in Dallas? What company was that? It was WCCW. He won both of those titles and unified them in Memphis. It was pretty incredible back in the day.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing too. You look at certain territories and look at people that ran shop there, and then they go to that certain company up north, and then they're nobodies, or they're popular. But I mean, my classic example of that, look at Dusty Rhodes. It makes me want to find Vince McMahon in Stanford and grab him by his shirt and punch him in the face every time I hear the following soundbite. Look at those polka dots. I literally want to grab him by his collar and just, and Vince McMahon's in great shape as a 70-year-old. He put up a great fight, but no, in all seriousness, that's joking. But in all seriousness, though, like, I hear that and it bothers me, because Roddy Piper and Dusty are my 1A and 1B as far as wrestling, all-time favorite wrestlers go. And the treatment, and we've even talked about with Piper, like, how in the hell was and I'm looking at it behind me, that IC belt was it. And he had a tag run when him and Flair were kind of flabby, but that was it. That was it. That was his swan song in WWF. That was it. That he got the IC belt, dropped it to Bret Hart here in Indianapolis, but that was it. And you look at Dusty, he was a badass back in the day. They used to take a fucking mule into the bars and start bar fights, and like, he was a badass, and they bring him out on WWF with polka dots.
But he still lost that shit.
He owned it. It's the American dream, baby. Like, it doesn't matter. He had the charisma to get himself over, but you see what companies, I guess, value or devalue in the workers that they have. You're booked one way here. You're the same guy, but they don't see that. They don't see, like, I think we see that with AJ Styles a little bit. You read the dirts, they're like, Drew Galloway. Drew Galloway's another one. You're down in Florida. You, my friend, get to go see Evolve shows. And I've seen Drew Galloway. No, I'm putting up the 2. I've seen him 4 Evolve events. He's been incredible. And he's believable. It's not like, I've never once went to an Evolve show and looked at Drew Galloway and went, "Oh, look at that jobber from 3-Man Band or whatever." No, I see Drew Galloway. I'm like, he's got that scream metal, and I'm like, yeah. And he gets in there and he's stiff, and he's like, him and Gargano and Tommy End and Chris Hero murdered each other Rumble weekend at Evolve and took it out into the crowd. And like, Drew Galloway had a street fight with Roddy in Eber City at the Orpheum there. And if you watch that Evolve back, it's funny because I'm like blocking my wife when they come up on the stage. And it was so stiff. And it's like, why didn't they book him like that when they had him? So, you look at Lawler and look at just how, in WWF, how many major titles did Jerry Lawler have in WWF, Derek, down there in Memphis?
How many? He won in Memphis, he won the USWA title, I think like 20-something times or something like that.
And it pains me to admit this. I had to sit through him and Michael Cole in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome. I had to sit there, and anybody want to hit Wikipedia and give us the exact time of the length of the Jerry King Michael Cole match? Because it felt like a 45-minute to Iron Man match status on that Michael Cole Jerry Lawler match. And it's like, of all the WrestleMania moments, we had to sit through that.
Dude, I was there for that too. And I was wondering where the fuck are the extras. I'm like, why is this shit taking
it went on forever. It's like, who thought that was a good idea?
It's nothing against Jerry. That's nothing against your boy. We're kind of like, he deserves so much better than this. Like he never even fucking had a fucking moment up until that point where he
straps
lost to an
dude,
announcer.
When he dropped the straps, I'm like, sweet, go home, like awesome, we're gonna do it, and then nothing. Like, cool, what?
The Jerry Lawler you guys have seen is not the same Jerry Lawler that I grew up seeing. No, it's him becoming a cliche of himself. And I don't watch SmackDown, but I hear he's gone back to his heel shtick, and he's actually, him and Morrow are tearing it up every Thursday night.
Oh yeah. It's crazy because so many years went by of not watching SmackDown. Honestly, the last SmackDown I remember vividly, like I sat down and tuned in from 8 to 10, was when Edge cashed in on Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last time I remember watching a SmackDown. And the Tales from the Markside, I'm not trying to be the markety Mark, but that was the last time I remember SmackDown. Now, like, just the announce team is enough to make you want to go, man, you miss hearing people that in their prime, like King, post wrestling as an announcer it's classic. That voice. Like in Detroit, we had Ernie Harwell, rest in peace. We had Ernie Harwell calling the Tigers baseball games. I mean, he sent me to sleep every night as a kid, and just as it brings back nostalgia. King laughing, that that laugh. It's like I go right back to the teenage years of like, man, the good old days. And hell, you throw JR in the mix, JR and King. I know people will talk Gorilla and Jesse, and you'll throw the mix of the old golden era and the announcers and. Does it get any better than JR and the King? Just encapsulating moments audibly.
My personal favorite announced team, JR and Paul.
That was a good one. I dig that one.
Mine is
And that was just because they fucking legit did not like each other when the show was on. And
you could tell, like, for sure.
Looking at each other like they're looking at each other like, man, fuck you. And it's like, fuck you too, you country bastard. And then after the fucking shows, and then they shake hands and they're like, all right, see you next week. And it was great, but I can't remember the fucking thing when I watched SmackDown. It's been years. I can name more TNA fucking things than I named any SmackDown ones. But to go on the fucking point about really quick with Michael Elgin and Adam Cole, I remember when both of them motherfuckers were coming up in PWG, at like my first time seeing Michael Elgin was when he was with Brian Cage, and they were the wrestling fucking machines. And my first unbreakable fucking machines, and every time fucking like do some fucking strongman fucking look like you're gonna break the poor bastards in half, like just suplexing them inside of the ring, and it was like, oh my fuck, you know. So it's like it's just like weird to see. I mean, I understand that. I'm happy as fuck what Michael Elgin is fucking doing in Japan, and with Adam Cole, I sincerely think he'll be in NXT sooner or later. Probably soon, probably like in a couple of years down the road.
He signed that contract with the ROH.
But I remember him seeing fucking Adam Cole too, that same fucking card, and it was I think it was All Star Weekend, and the motherfuckers had to chant.
Oh yeah,
suck my dick, suck my
classic,
dick, suck my dick, because he hated that chant, and the crowd fucking ate that shit up. So I don't understand the fucking charisma that that Adam Cole has, but I understand the wrestling ability that Michael Elgin has, and it's now in the days it's like begging one to choosing with fucking Drew Galloway. Watching him in Evolve, when he fought, my first time seeing him in Evolve was when he faced Ricochet, and I think Evolve 28, and it was just that was my first time seeing him. I didn't know he was that fucking tall, because holy shit. Like, Ricochet was probably about my height, if not like an inch taller than like a couple inches taller than me. Fucking Drew Galloway is fucking built like a goddamn like beanpole with fucking muscles, like just on roids. No, not saying he's taking roids, just motherfucker is just fucking huge. I'm like, holy shit. And it was a great fucking match. And I'm sitting here, and he was like, I think Evolve champion too at the time. And I'm sitting there going like, how the fuck did they waste that motherfucker like that? But you know, it's cool, but it's just interesting as shit to see. It is. Now, here's a fucking question that I have for the both of you. Who have you seen? And it can go by any promotion, but mostly probably WWE will probably be the more famous one because they have known fuck ups. Who have you seen that was in one promotion and get shitted on or not being used right, and be to another promotion that actually has been used fucking properly, and they're like, see, and that's what you get. That's how you fucking do it. I'm gonna ask Derek, man, because he's over there wondering.
No,
and I swear to God, if it's Jerry Lawler again,
actually, I was gonna say Trent Beretta.
That's a good one.
I love Roppongi Vice, man. They just won the IWGP tag team titles, and it's funny.
Full finger rings.
It's so funny seeing guys like him go over to New Japan. They're like, holy shit, this guy can work great and is a strong wrestler and stuff. Let's just make him do what he does best at. Boom, Shaggy. What do you got?
I got one. I got one for you. That was a great. That was a great.
First off,
I got another one for you. I got another one for you. The Friday night of Evolve Weekend in the Rumble, my buddy Ben was, once again plugged for Ben at Fight Ben Fight. I was there with Ben and my lovely wife, and I look over. Ben looks over, and he goes, "Dude, that's," and we went over and took a picture with him. This is somebody who in NXT was Derek Bateman and was a goofy dude with like a curly Jerry curl and was a goofball. It's 2 letters and 1 number, EC3. To me, that is the biggest blunder that I think NXT's had, period. And Trent Beretta right now, especially, we laugh and giggle with him and Chuck Taylor, the poppin' dogs, talking hogs, like that is hilarious. High Spots, go to High Spots, get the High Spots subscription. That alone is worth it. Take your shirt off, tweet the right. Like I've belly laughed to where my stomach hurts at Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta. But Trent teaming now with Rocky Romero, another comedy guy who Rock's a great guy as a human being, but Rock looks like he's goofy in the ring. He's one of the guys that, to me, and no disrespect to Colt, no disrespect to Santino and guys like that, as far as comedy workers go, Rocky Romero is a proven stud. 6-time IWGP Tag Team Champion with different tag team partners. But now you throw Trent into the mix, and you see, and I've seen it at the shows. I remember being at Ring of Honor when Roppongi debuted in Chicago, and we kept doing the Roppongi Vice like during the match, and Trent was like kind of shaking his head about it, and I was thinking like why he was so upset about the crowd being into it, and it's for that simple fact that you see them like it's a goofy team, but it's the work rate, it's the in-ring stuff that he really like. The fun and games are over. WWE dropped the ball on him. It's not about the comedy act anymore. No disrespect to the Grottos and Kikaturos, and like those acts are phenomenal and great. But Trent right now is at that level. Like I can hang with the best of them, and I've seen him. He was in there with Okada last year at Global Wars Night 2, killing it. Trent can go with anybody. And to Derek's point, Trent Beretta is on that same level of travesty that Drew Galloway is. Like, how did you have this guy and couldn't find anything to do with him? Same with EC3. EC3, that's the only, in my opinion, one of the only reasons, one of the few reasons to tune into Impact on Pop, if you even have Pop. That's it. You know, and if they rated TNA, because TNA's days they're like a zombie. They can never die, it seems.
It's coming.
But it's imminent. I think we're going to see an influx of talent that comes in from TNA to Ring of Honor, PWG, hell, even Rev Pro and Progress. I think we're going to see TNA talent scatter. And you hate to see companies fold because there's workers there, there's wrestlers there, there's ring announcers, there's knockouts. There's people that's their living. I never want to see a wrestling promotion fold. But hopefully, not hopefully, but if that day does come, hopefully the talent that's there, the cream will rise to the top, as they say. WWE better get back EC3 and do him some justice. They better, I could see maybe even Trent Beretta going back and going to the main roster here someday. I mean, he's young enough for it. Drew Galloway, I mean, could we see somebody like him going back and being treated with more respect than he did last time, and then completely ignoring the three-man band stuff? I mean, all three of them could legitimately go in and be Intercontinental champions. Yeah. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. There's like, right, especially the climate right now in WWE, it's almost like they have too much talent. And we can sit here and say, oh, 3 hours, it's so boring. But even with 3 hours, I mean, trust me, that's way too much time to try to hold someone's attention, right? Cognitively speaking, the way our brains work, we got about 45 minutes. And then, which anybody keeping time on this podcast, we might be at Charlie Brown teacher status right about now. But it's 45 minutes, and then and you zone out, and you need to just refocus, recalibrate. But you have so much talent there. That's why there's fans that are stop being so negative. Yeah, but I mean, do they have any reason to put on a boring show? Even with 3 hours, big deal. They have enough talent to where they should be able to put on compelling matches and compelling stories week in and week out. And I mean, those are. I think we hit the nail on the head. I'd be impressed to see anybody bring up 3 names in the last 5 years that came up through developmental or came up through that promotion and got nixed and made a bigger name for themselves than those 3 names there. I don't think there are any other 3 or any other ones, period, that maybe would top those. I'm racking my brain right now. I can't think of any right now.
I'm trying to think of people that are not in WWE, that were not in WWE, and they just dropped the ball. Like, I'm trying to think of like people in TNA that they dropped the ball on and on them somewhere and fucking did great. I'm thinking on Ring of Honor, but I'm kind of like, at this point, it's just me being fucking nitpicky, because when I was gonna bring up Ring of Honor, I was gonna say Tyler Black. They didn't do too much to fucking try and keep him. And like, then I'm like, okay, but I'm grasping at fucking straws because he was Ring of Honor champion. But you got like another thing in Ring of Honor, you got the Wolves but then they're still doing what they're doing in TNA. But I'm guessing because everyone has their shit from WWE, and once again, I'm just gonna go ahead and say Drew Galloway. because
I got another one. Guys. Sorry to interrupt, Shag. I got another name.
You're good.
The Cleaner, Kenny Omega. This is a guy that got harassed. This guy got harassed by Bill DeMott. Oh, put a jelly donut in your butt cheeks on a Friday, and then if you eat it out of the dude's ass crack, then we don't have practice. Like, this is the shit that this guy was doing in practice there, because it's the hard knocks, and wrestlers are hard and tough, and it's like, you hear all these crazy stories like that, and I hate to be that guy, like, you're bullying them, but Kenny Omega pretty much got bullied out of developmental in NXT.
Yeah. And that sucks too, because like I forgot he was there. I forgot he was like, I legit forgot Kenny Omega was there for like a spell. He's like, fuck this, I'm out. And now they're kind of like wishing they can get him back, which they probably can, because I mean he's not there anymore, and the fucking place is better now. But you know, still, holy fuck.
He is the Gaijin Shinsuke Nakamura.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like he was when, and you see the four big names, like they raided New Japan's roster. Like, how are they going to bounce back? Nakamura out, Kenny Omega in. Like that. He is one of the most charismatic wrestlers with a pulse on the planet.
He makes you believe his fucking arm's a goddamn chainsaw, all right? And you fucking go with it. Not that it's fucking weird or nothing, that he's fucking just carving your face in with his fucking forearm, and you sell it like death, and
he shaves it just enough to work like it's a kind of legit, but still kayfabe thing.
Also,
Kenny Omega is another name, yeah.
I've got another really good example. I know I got a really good example on someone from the WWE that has made it elsewhere, somewhere else. How about this guy right here?
He's got a picture. Ooh,
yeah,
I like that, man. Not been a real champion anywhere else outside of WWE, but he's going for one of the Aztec medallions next week on Lucha Underground against Cage. Cage in a cage. That was so cheesy, but
oh my God, it's so cheesy.
Cage in a cage.
But in Lucha Underground, and everyone in Lucha Underground, he's a star.
He's a player. Yep.
And he's one of the reasons you watch that show.
I think Johnny Mundo, John Morrison, when he was in WWF, I think the problem that he had was, I think it's the same thing as Miz. It's not somebody I look at where I'm like, if they were in a fight, like a shoot fight, I'd be like, man, I got $20 on the dude with the bedazzled abs. Like, he's just not, it's not he's like a parkour guy, but he's not somebody I would look at and be like, dude, they're about to throw down. Hey, I got $20 on the dude with the fur coat on. Like, he's just not somebody that you'd peg like Miz. Like I feel like I could slap the Miz in the face and get away with it and be safe. Like, he wouldn't kick my ass. Like, it's just, and I like the Miz as a human being. I'm talking about the character. This is not disrespecting his work or anything like that. As a human being, Mike Mizanin is cool as hell. He's a really cool guy. But as you look at him in the wrestling realm, he looks like a guy that you could like just walk up to and just smack across the face and be like, what are you going to do about it, chump stain? Like, it's just some little like annoying dude with weird clothes on. It's not believable. There's some people that it's just not, I don't know. It's like the wrong casting. It's not really believable.
Yeah.
Like, so what you're saying is Bill Watts wouldn't have been a fan of the guy.
But this harkens back to when people said, oh, Daniel Bryan couldn't beat Brock Lesnar. That's not believable. A counter argument, devil's advocate. At one point, wrestling fans, marks, we believe that a male stripper with the chaps on, with the assless chaps, could beat a zombie. I'm talking about HBK and Undertaker. The male stripper dude with his ass hanging out of his chaps, with the freaking the cross, Lost Boy cross earrings, and the mirror and all that. But that guy can beat a zombie. But we're gonna sit here and say it's preposterous. Daniel Bryan couldn't beat Brock Lesnar. So, I'm not even saying that was a personal thing with the Miz or with Morrison, but I can relate. Like, I can see why maybe they didn't really get the shine that they got, especially a guy like Mundo. yeah, it's cute. You got a couple number one contender matches, and he was an IC champ, tag champ, ECW champion. But I mean, he's not going to be a player there. But that boils down to booking. I mean, what Lucha does right, WWE has never picked up, at least not since the Attitude Era. And I'm not trying to be that guy like Attitude Era was the best. They had some shitty wrestling matches.
A lot, dude. A lot of shit.
Yeah, the characters were great. The
network. Holy fuck, it's bad.
Yeah, everybody's like Harold's the Attitude Era was the best. The characters were the best. The wrestling, but yeah, like a guy like Mundo, I'm glad there's other avenues for these guys. We've mentioned them, all these different guys, that there's an avenue for them to shine. Like Mundo, like you said, Derek, is a star. He is a stud in Lucha. That's awesome. And the thing is, it's the same dude, same flamboyance and the slow motion and it's the same dude. I mean, he does those commercials making fun of us like, oh, Bleaks, I do tarantula sit-ups. Like he does.
I do them because I like to have abs.
And anybody out there, any of you guys, have you done the Johnny Mundo work? Has anybody have you paused that at a commercial break and you're like, I'm gonna hit up those tarantula push-ups? Like
I thought about doing the leg press push-ups when he has, and I'm like, no.
Nope, not doing it. I'm gonna eat this taco here.
It's like obliques. And I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. You told me your coat was made of I didn't get that shit. Fuck you. This coat, it's farm-raised jackal. And I'm like, wait, what? Oh God!
I think. Do you think we're rounding out the point of the show? Like we're kind of getting down to the fourth quarter here, the first episode.
Ask his question because we've given him enough time to think of something to ask.
Hey,
motherfucker, as he looks off in the distance.
We just had a good discussion.
I haven't told you what got me into wrestling.
Yeah.
Real quick. When I was 8. My dad worked at a welding company in Pontiac, Michigan, a couple of miles away from the Silverdome, and not the Superdome. And his buddy, he works at a welding company called Ralco. I mean, he's like, hey, and I remember being there, and he's like, hey, I got a couple extra tickets at the Palace to go see WWF. And my dad, it was like an old school black and white guy. That's why I knew about like Rocky Marciano and Muhammad Ali. Like I would sit on my dad's lap and watch old black and white, like Wide World of Sports shit. But I like wrestler names that came up was like Killer Kowalski, guys like that, like old school cats. But WWF, he's like, yeah, I got tickets to WWF. And I knew it was wrestling. I didn't know anything about it. And they took me there. The main event was Hulk Hogan versus Brutus the Barber Beefcake. And if Hogan won, LOL, Hogan wins, right? If Hogan won the match, Brutus had to cut Sensational Sherry's hair. Spoiler alert, Hulk Hogan went over in the match, and after the match, the Brutus the Barber Beefcake cut Sensational Sherry's hair. And we had the big scissors, and like I just remember being in the nose. We didn't have good seats. We're in the nosebleeders at the Palace, and it's just like 15,000 people in there packing in and seeing everything live. It wasn't the television program. It was actually, for me, it was weird. Most people, it's like, yeah, I kicked on Raw or watched a VHS tape. For me, it was the live event was the first thing that really grabbed me. And I can bring that, and I'll keep this brief here for a change. I think the thing as an adult, I think that the thing as an adult, it's the same emotion and reaction for me to get into more, like to get outside of WWF. My first it hit me, and I'm like, wow, WWE is kind of boring now. Or that Raw was like, I attended Raw, I was there, it was kind of boring. Was going to Chicago to see Ring of Honor and having Kevin Steen. I was doing the Rushmore and 2 Sweet, and I'm in the crowd, and Kevin Steen looked and he's like, yeah. And I didn't know what he's doing. He backed up a little bit. I'm like, what the hell? And he runs up and he jumps into the crowd and high fives me. And like I posted the picture on Facebook. I got the DVD order just now. They had a sale. But to go back to that and go to that live event, and Chris Hero and Adam Cole murdered each other for like 30 minutes. And I remember walking out of Frontier Fieldhouse in Chicago, and I looked over at my friends, and I'm like, I'm addicted. Like, this is crazy. Like, I've never felt that way at a Raw. Like, I got to see Stone Cold bring in the Zamboni. I've seen crazy stuff at Raws, those monumental, like, I was there moments. But what one-upped it was seeing something outside of WWE and being there to just take in just a different atmosphere. And I think anybody out there, that if there's anybody listening to this, I think anybody out there, if that's your thing, and we're not putting labels on people, if you're solely WWE and you're like the defender of the WWE universe, and you get tired of people that are so pro New Japan, because we'll face it, there's New Japan fans that look through rose-colored glasses like, dude, Okada and Tanahashi for the 972nd time? And don't get, I was one of those people. Wrestle Kingdom 10 was epic. Wrestle Kingdom 10 is like of all time ranking. But there's people that they'll view one promotion and then everything else is like, I don't want to give it a chance. I don't want to. It's like when you're a kid and you don't want to eat your vegetables. Well, have you had broccoli? No, I just know I don't like it. Well, how do you know if you don't try it? So anybody out there, regardless of what promotion you're into, get out there and just see a different show. Man, Derek's invited me, and I know it's not unjust. He might want to hang out with me in real life, maybe. But I would love to go down to an MEW show in Memphis and eat some freaking barbecue and go see MEW down there and see a Memphis wrestling show and be like, it's kind of on the wrestling bucket list. Memphis, and maybe this is a later episode, but Memphis wrestling is rich in wrestling history. And that's one of those spots, if you're a wrestling fan, it's like, I got to get down there and see it. Just get out and go see a show. Do something different.
Look at him. He's so fucking happy about himself. Look at him. Look at him fucking smiling. Look at him. He's like fucking
we gotta give some shine to Memphis. I know with the King, the Jerry the King jokes aside, it's ha jokes. It's not anything serious. Yeah, no, it's not disrespecting Memphis wrestling or anything like that. Derek's podcast, and then we'll kind of bring this home here. Derek's podcast is what made me get into, like, man, you know what? You get compliments all the time, dude. You're like a professor when it comes to wrestling knowledge, and not that you get a big ego about it, but you're like, man, I don't know everything. You know, you're kind of like, I don't know everything. Well, I don't really know anything about Memphis. I heard his show, and it's like, wow, I don't know anything about Memphis wrestling.
I got called fucking the Thomas Edison of wrestling knowledge, and I will gladly carry that shit with me. I don't know about you. I don't have a very fucking big ego, but that some bitch grew about 20 fucking inches. You feel me? But I give this shit to Derek, man, because like Derek's actually made me want to look up my own city's fucking wrestling company, so I can actually go watch them and a couple, and get into my local shit and support my local shit, because we all fucking, me and Fred are the two biggest fucking marks for independent wrestling that we know. Like, there's others, but collectively, we fucking know shit about shit that we shouldn't, but we do. And Derek's learning from us about the shit we're knowledgeable about. But to him, we actually owe him a great deal, because he's teaching us about shit that we didn't fucking know, and we're fucking two fucking smart bastards. That's all. I kudos to him for fucking making us like just get out of our fucking prison. To be like, yo, this fucking promotion is great. Hey, man, let's get into historic shit, because historical shit happened in fucking Memphis. It's still fucking happening.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back. Your favorite wrestlers, Macho Man's one of my favorites of the top 5, dead or alive. We all know where Randy Savage started. I mean, we could go back into the history books and look back, and it almost seemingly, it's like there's an origin story for several of our most famed wrestlers, our favorite wrestlers. There's always an origin story that goes back to Memphis, and that was so compelling about him. And I joke about the generic rock theme. The Oversell podcast on iTunes. Check out Derek. It's a 3-man team there. they shed light onto Memphis Wrestling, MEW. They shed light on wrestlers that are there for that product, Memphis wrestlers. They shed light onto other promotions. And like Derek will hype me and be like, dude, and I appreciate all the love and the support of, yeah, Fred got me into liking this guy or Lucha or New Japan. And like, that's cool. But I'm not like, it's a community of just all of us that, we like, I remember the tape trading days. I was kind of one of those guys like, dude, I'll let you borrow this if you let me. It's crazy to think back at that pre-digital time of tape trading. But in a sense, we're kind of like promotion trading now. We're not tape trading, but we're kind of like content trading. There might be people that listen to Kayfabe Connection and say, man, if he talks about Zack Sabre Jr. one more time, like, get his British nuts out of your mouth. Like there might be people out there that get annoyed with that. But for me, it's like, I don't want to be that podcast that just shits on WWE every week. And it's like, it's the same format of WWE sucks. They don't know what they're doing. Am I critical? Am I objective about it? I can point out good and bad, but I want to celebrate these wrestlers and these promotions that I enjoy, because that word of mouth generates buzz. That word of mouth gives him $20 at a merch table. It gives him an 8x10 at the merch table. They got bills to pay, mouths to feed. It's kind of like, instead of going to, and I hate making WWE sound so horrible, but like, I don't like chain restaurants, right? Like, I don't want to go to Applebee's or Chili's. I'd rather go to like Maxine's Chicken and Waffles here, or Nisa for Asian food. Like, Christine, shout out to Nisa. This is a plug for Nisa in Indianapolis. I'd rather give them my money than go to WWE shop. Dude, you were at the NXT show last night, Shaggy. $35 for a 2X shirt.
And that is fucking insane, man.
Like, if I'm a hugger shirt, how much is going to Bailey? Like, if I go to your merch table, I give Zack Sabre a 20 spot. He's keeping that 20 spot. I don't know. It's just celebrating, giving to people that.
I totally agree to that shit, because first off, going back to what you said, look, man, you can make fun of WWE all you want, because they do that shit to themselves, and it's warranted. Secondly, I appreciate fucking merch tables. I appreciate websites like ProWrestlingTees.com. Yeah, the WWE shirts are fucking cool. Granted, I am fucking wearing the current NXT champion shirt, but when it comes down to it, if he had his own fucking shit, I'd have fucking bought it. I got a bunch of fucking t-shirts and shit like that. I want to support the wrestlers like I support the promotions that are out there now. And it's exactly shit, man. Derek's fucking Hold on, I want this motherfucker to hit it. Wait till he gets back on.
Get those headphones on,
yeah. Hey, can you hear me?
Dude. Yeah, sorry. All this Arby's root beer.
Exactly. I'm about to put you fucking over, and you're not nowhere to be fucking seen. So why? Why am I even doing these things? But no, seriously, Derek literally, Fred, and correct me if I'm wrong, Derek is fucking so progress that he doesn't even fucking know it. He puts his dudes over from fucking Memphis.
Yeah.
And only Memphis that he focuses on. Now granted, he does interview other people from other companies when he gets them, but he rather fucking put over the people from Memphis so people can know more about him, more about them than anybody else knows. Like shit, man. When I was on his show, he had one of his guys, and he said, "It was like I forgot." And excuse me for not remembering who. Del Tucker, yes, Del Tucker. I fucking watch Del Tucker matches now. It's fucking amazing.
We were at Evolve. Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna.
It's fucking.
Yeah, I was just gonna say at Evolve, the Amazon. You had her on the show. She was in TNA, Derek.
Andrea.
My wife's really skeptical about female talent in wrestling, because she does like her thing with burlesque and stuff like that, and it like the theatrics of it, she's real kind of like critical and nitpicky, and she'll give hey, props to somebody if she's like, oh, like that wasn't believable. But like with her, she like after the match, because SoCal Val was out there too at Evolve, and they were the escorts for I think Caleb Conley, his tag team. And she loved her, and I did too. I'm like, there's just an X factor. Like there's something about her. I remember hitting this guy up, and he's like, yeah, she was so and so in TNA, and yeah, I had her on the show, and I'm like, wow, and I missed that. I didn't listen. I went back and listened to his show. Like it's the circle of podcasts. Like it's that sort of the buzz of you know about this and I didn't. It's not like, oh, I know she used to be in team. No, it's not. There's no ego in anything. We're dudes that listen to podcasts and watch wrestling. And if there's really podcasts out there that have egos, that do, if you're a fan podcast and you have egos, like that's really lame. It's very lame. But it's there. It's not about I know about the indies. You know, oh, what's that shirt on Barbershop Window? It's an indie promotion. You probably never heard about it with the mustache and the glasses. This isn't a competition to know the most obscure promotions in dude, that Mike Johnson dude, not the dude that does the reporting, but the journalist, but this Mike Johnson guy at Indianapolis, man, you don't know about. No, it's about just sharing, like we said, it's wrestler trading and promotion trading now more so than tape trading. You give me a name, it's like with music. If someone gives me a band name, I'm like already on Apple Music or YouTube. Like if it's something, anything new, it's like I gotta get my hands on it because I love music. Same with wrestling. You throw a name out and I've never heard of them, I'm gonna go check them, and I hope it's the same with my show and with everybody else's. You know, it's what it's all about.
Speaking of which, before we head out, 5 seconds or less. Roundtable discussion. Who's your favorite current wrestler right now to be watched? Derek, go ahead.
Shit, man, that's Shibata. I've become a big Shibata mark.
There you go.
The cliche answer for me is to say Zack Sabre Jr., but I'm gonna go with my other mate from across the pond. I'm gonna say the villain, Marty Scurll.
Thank God someone said it, so now I don't have to feel bad about it. Tommy fucking in.
Ooh, top 5 right now on the planet. Top 5.
Top fucking 5.
WXW Tag Team Champion. So now you know. Man. Kicked my wife square in the shoulder blade, and she took it like a G. So if anybody can sustain a blow from Tommy fucking in, it's my wife.
Jesus fucking
Christ. Yeah. I started watching New Japan Wrestling. I started watching New Japan Pro Wrestling earlier this year for the first time. Shout out to NJPW World, like the greatest subscription service ever. But I got to watch, my first match I watched was Ishii versus Shibata, and I'm like, this is quintessential beat-ass wrestling, and I've been a Shibata mark ever since.
Strong, like that's true. Like people throw the term strong style around. What's strong style? Tomohiro Ishii and Shibata beating the shit out of each other is strong style. That's believable, and that's the thing. I think when we talked about it before, it was cool to be a wrestling fan. Now it's like you watch wrestling. So many people associate wrestling with like Doink the Clown, Hogan tearing the shirt. And I remember telling a coworker before Global Wars last year, she's like, "Oh, you're taking a trip to Toronto, going to surprise the wife, or going to Niagara Falls, or whatever the bullshit is." And I'm like, "No, we're going to go see Japanese wrestling." Straight face. She laughed at me in my face. She's like, "That's really weird." And I said, "I enjoy wrestling, and Japanese wrestling is probably my favorite. So we're going to see Japanese wrestling." You know, I went into a party store to get some beer, and I had a Bullet Club shirt on. Shout out to the wrestling hipster, Derek. And the guy goes, "Bullet Club, what's that?" And straight faced, I'm like, "It's a Japanese wrestling stable." And he's like, "Oh, that'll be 1853." Like, what do you want me to say? Like, give you some drawn out story? It's the coolest. But you know, like that's the way it is. People don't associate wrestling with all the great kind of, I don't want to say underground, like I'm some hipster dude that, oh, you don't know about it. But to be honest, it is like, I've had coworkers like at work bored. They're like, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, "PWG trailer." Like, "PWG, what's that?" And I'm like, we have like a thing at work. It's like an IM, like instant messenger thing. And I'll send them the link to like a PW, like the latest, like Bowie or Lemmy, whatever the show was. Sent my friend the link. He is not a wrestling fan at all. And I just see his face like, and then it gets done and he's like, "Dude, who's Zack Sabre Jr.? Dude, who's Mike Speedball Bailey? dude, who's blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, go to YouTube, check him out. This guy was not a wrestling fan, came over and watched Bola. I had Bola from this year. Didn't stay all 3 discs because that's a tough gig to watch all of Bola. I'm crazy. We have yearly Bola parties where we put the first disc in and we watch it to the very end. But he came over, converted him.
The last Bola party I did, Fred, was 2007.
Oh, wow.
We tried to fucking watch all 3 in one night. That was the fucking stupidest fucking thing that I could do.
Oh,
so
it's great. Is there any other way to watch? If you get the Bolas and you watch it separately or when you get to it, you're not doing it right. You have to start. And my advice: start at 11 a.m. If you love your wife or your girlfriend like I do, send them out for a spa day. That's what I did. She deserved it. Sent her, pampered her up down in Bloomington, Indiana. And shout out to Jason Jordan, former Hoosier. But sent her to the spa. Wifey's all set and pampered like she deserves to be. I got 10 hours open. And like if you're late to the Bola viewing, sucks to be you, because at 11 a.m. sharp, that mother sucker's going on play, and I'm not stopping. There's no piss break or some of my friends smoke. Gross, nasty habit. Hey, I'm going to get a smoke. Can you pop? Nope. We're watching it from start to finish. And it's like only the strong survive.
2007, man. Holy shit. Like, we were like, how long is this? And here's the fucked up thing, Fred. I didn't know it had commentary.
Yeah.
So we kind of watched it, just playing it. No commentary. We just heard the wrestlers in the ring. And I'm like, I go back years later, and I'm like, holy shit, there's commentary? And I kind of flick it on, and I'm like, oh, the show's much better.
Man. There's a couple of things on my wrestling bucket list, and like I said, I want to get down to Memphis. I would love to go see a show, like a New Japan show in Japan. I have a friend over there, Dave Coco. He does Coco Sports YouTube show. Great guy. I mean, he's like, if I'm gonna talk shop with Japanese wrestling, it's gonna be him. But PWG is, and my wife knows, I've annoyed her for 2 years now. We're currently planning a trip to California to go take in a PWG show in Reseda, and I dream about it. Like, I had a dream. I was in the American Legion post, like marking out. Like, I dream. It's to the point I'm dreaming about it now. I have to go there and be in the moments.
Fred, more fucking power to you, because me and a buddy, I told you the horror story me and a buddy had. We're just fucking trying to go. We're like, we're planning to go this year to Bola, but we're like, we need to know when the tickets are available. And then we just heard the horror stories of like, man, if you're not even fucking nowhere in LA, and he was willing to fly to LA the night of a show to go buy tickets and fly right back. That's how fucking hardcore this man is. Shout out to my man Frank. He wants to fucking, like, we wanted to do this, but then we thought about it as, man, it's probably easier if we fucking get our passports and just go to fucking the UK
Progress,
and watch Progress, which is what we're planning to do next fall.
That's awesome. Can I show you how nerdy I am? I've done test runs. So, like, Pacific time.
Mm-hmm.
Super Dragon, sorry, kayfabe's dead. Super Dragon tweets out everything on the PWG Twitter handle. He'll tweet the link out as soon as tickets go on sale. You throw that baby as soon as he hits it, hit the link, and you have about 7 minutes before it sells out. You have a 7-minute win. Like, it's to a science. I've done fake, like, I'm gonna buy tickets. I'm not gonna go, but I'm staying up on a work night at 11 p.m. Eastern time to go click the link, because you hear that. I'm like, PWG tickets are just, it's impossible to get. And I'm like, there's got to be a way. There is a 7-minute window from the moment Super Dragon tweets it out. You got to keep refreshing your Twitter. As soon as he hits it, boop, and then go to your PayPal and knock it out. And I've tried 3 times for 3 different shows, and I was able to secure tickets all 3 times. So it might not be front row, because those things go like within 15 seconds. But the test runs that I've done, knock on wood, I've been able to. So that's how nerdy. Like I'm doing like scientific tests to really get like an algorithm of like exactly what I need to do to get tickets because I'm not missing the show. I've annoyed the shit out of my wife for 2 years now to make it to this promotion. And to me, it's more like I am a super fan of this promotion. So right now, that's what I'm working with. That's other than Global Wars in Chicago. I'm going to the indie show for ROH as well, so I got a couple of those. And I'm really hyped about those. But the PWG show, that's something as if whenever they announce another show. I mean, we've been waiting almost 2 months now to wait for a show to be announced. And with Prince's passing, I wouldn't be surprised if like of the show to be Purple Rain or like When Chairs Fly instead of When Doves Cry. Like it's gonna be some play on words, but like to me, honestly, like I have friends that are like, it depends on the card if I go. I'm like, I don't care who's there. It's to me, it's the atmosphere. I just like I want, and it sounds silly to say I need, but it's like like I have to go there. I have to take it all in and experience it.
And that's the idea that we have when we wanted to go to fucking when I want to go to Ebola before I fucking die. Like that's 100% something I want to do. Like that's on my bucket list. It's just that I'm like, holy fuck, it's easier to go to fucking London than it is in LA, and that's fucking sad. Like I can buy progress tickets quickly. I can buy progress tickets front row because you can sign up to their email questionnaire, and they'll just be like, "Hey, tickets are available right now if you use this code for only our subscribers." I can buy progress tickets for cheaper than I can buy PWG tickets. It's just in the sense of I have to fucking save up $3,000 to go to fucking London, which if I'm lucky enough and the progress shows happen the same day the fucking Jaguars playing, hey, I get fucking dinner and a show. You know what I'm saying?
I've been to London twice, man. It is expensive.
Fuck yeah, I know. It's fucking
bad.
Expensive.
Like the last experience we had there was just like get us. shout out to Martin Dean. Shout out to my friends over there across the pond. I love you guys. And Chelsea Football Club, super fan. Been to Stamford Bridge twice. I love my buddies and my mates rather in London, but anybody there will tell you like outside of London is where it's at. London is like the trendy cliche, like, oh, gonna go to London. It's so expensive. So planning a trip there, I mean, you better get a work bonus, like an inheritance. Your piggy piggy banks, like you better plan financially. So
that's what I'm fucking working. That's what we're fucking working on, man. That's what we're doing. But yeah, I think that's probably fucking talking about our hopes and dreams. That's probably a good way to end the fucking show. Derek, since you're a man of many words, what it's like? Go ahead, plug your stuff, man. You got like a bunch of stuff we could be plugging, so let's get that on.
Yeah, oversellpodcast.com, at oversellpodcast on Twitter, facebook.com/oversellpodcast, and hit that Amazon link while you're at oversellpodcast.com. Fred.
Yeah, at the letter K FABE Connection on Twitter. Also at the letter K FABE Designs on Twitter. I'm a man of many hats, but the biggest praise goes to Dean Jackson of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Myself, slightly himself, the lion's share. He is the graphic designer. That is the duo known as Kayfabe Designs. It's on ProWrestlingTees.com. If you click Find an Artist, you can see all of the work, the ideas that we've pushed out. Larry Zabisco, Velvet Sky, Luke Gallows, won't call him Doc because he's in WWE now. Machine Gun, Amber O'Neil Gallows, Luke's wife. We've done work for quite a few people, and we've been fortunate enough to just put out stuff for wrestlers. Bob Holly, Silas Young of Ring of Honor. There's so many names that I'm probably going to forget, but yeah, find an artist on Pro Wrestling Tees Kayfabe Designs. www.kayfabeconnection.com. I have a fun photo gallery there of like just different wrestling encounters, different pictures. If it's your favorite wrestler, I know Shaggy gets mad at me all the time. I'm probably smiling with them. So, have you met so and so? It's like pretty much I'm cheesing with them. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The Kayfabe Connection podcast, it's out every Sunday on iTunes and Podomatic, so you can subscribe on iTunes, rate, review, and then download the Podomatic app and listen there. So yeah, that's it for me.
All right. Time for you can follow me in this fucking shiny ass forehead of mine at Shaggy Black. On Twitter, I don't tweet as much as I used to because I'm on my grown man shit. But you can follow me at Shaggy Black. You can also follow my podcast, the three-handled Moss Covered Podcast, on Twitter at TTHMC Podcast. And you can also look us up on iTunes as well. Just put in TTHMC and you can find us through there. You can follow my co-host Corey at Space Trucking 92. Do that at your own fucking advisory. I forgot that actual word because words. I have a gaming website. We got leagues for any of your sports games and versus many, like if you want to join a league that we have going on right now. I run a WWE 2K16 league. You can watch us on Twitch or follow us at WGL at WGW, like WGW space not space but the
underscore
like underscore. Thank you, because I'm drawing a fucking blank, scrambling here. Underscore WGL. That's WGW underscore WGL, and we go from there. We do our podcast. TTHMC does our podcast whenever the fuck we feel like it, and that's nothing.
Can't get any more casual than that.
Rock than that.
Hey,
that's more fucking casual. We do.
Anybody out there, if you work for Suplex, shout out to Suplex. I gotta say that. Free plugs here. This is the best wrestling clothing brand on the planet. Suplex Wrestling. Zack Sabre Jr., Kyle O'Reilly. The list goes on and on. Everybody that's involved with Suplex, Adam Cole, everybody there. It's a great brand. And the turnaround, and I know my designer tags on there, the Suplex brand ships from the UK quicker than Pro Wrestling Tees does. So you'll get your shirts there. Ooh. Don't tell nobody. No, but yeah, you'll appreciate it. And the fabric too, like this feels great. And I'm super sunburned from mowing the lawn, but this feels like silk. Like this is silky smooth fabric here. So yeah, shout out to Suplex Wrestling. That's the best wrestling clothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's probably the heat stroke that he's catching, because that probably is 100% cotton and it probably itches like a sunfish. But I am Shaggy Black with my co-host here, Derek from Oversell Podcast and Fred from Kayfabe Connection. We will catch you guys next month. Hopefully we'll have questions and all types of fun shit because we're marks. These are tails. Markside.
Support local wrestling.
Yeah, thank you for supporting.
There you go.
We can